Hey, Tourpreneurs, it's Mitch Bach, and just a quick note before we begin today's episode. Tourpreneur is currently sponsored by Google. We're thankful for their support of our community, and we are offering with them a completely free course helping you unlock the power and potential of Google's Things to Do program, which is specifically helping tour operators add their tours to Google in new ways that gives you new exposure and more direct bookings. To learn more, go to tourpreneur.com/Google. And as always, show notes, more resources, links to our newsletter, our business coaching community, and so much more are available on tourpreneur.com. Now to the episode.
Today's episode is brought to you by Checkfront, the booking platform trusted by over 5,000 tour and activity operators around the world. You can start your own free 21-day trial over at checkfront.com.
Welcome to the Tourpreneur podcast. Travel industry veteran Shane Whaley will take you on a journey with fellow tourpreneurs, sharing their tips, ideas, insights, and success stories to inspire you to make your tour business the best it can be. And now, here is your host, Shane Whaley.
Hello and welcome to episode 104 of the Tourpreneur podcast. And today, I'm asking you, tourpreneurs, to help the podcast. Why? Well, I'm facing a bit of a challenge. The beauty of our industry is how broad it is. If you look at the different kinds of tours we've featured on this show, it's everything from walking tours to pizza tours to architecture tours, bike tours. We've got one episode coming up in a couple of weeks, which is all based on secret agent training, a 7-day expedition. So it's very broad, and I love that. That's what fascinates me about our industry. And we can learn from all the different verticals. But also it presents me with a challenge of what you want to hear on the show. And as a podcaster, I'm always grateful when you spend an hour on Tourpreneur, because I know you could spend that hour watching a YouTube tutorial, working on your Facebook page, reading an SEO book, listening to another podcast, whatever it may be. And I always want to give you value. And that's why some of you who've met me in the real world, one of the questions I always ask you when you say you enjoy the show is, hey, if ever you listen and you're screaming at me to ask a question and I don't get to it, please email me. I'll never be offended, and tell me, what question you wanted me to ask, because that will make me a better interviewer. So I've always wanted to deliver value. And I've been speaking with some of you over the last couple of weeks in terms of what you want to hear on the Tourpreneur podcast, because I recognize that Tourpreneur, and most podcasts are like this, to be honest with you, where it's a set menu. You sit down, you might get a choice of red and white wine or meat or vegetarian, but that's pretty much it. And I want to create something that's a buffet. It's a smorgasbord where you can approach the podcast and go, well, I'm not really interested in SEO, but I really want to know how to build a YouTube channel. Or I'm not interested in WordPress, but I really want to know how to inspire my tour guides. And I want to build something that there's always that content available to you. Now, I'm not replacing the mainstay of the show, which is the Tourpreneur story. I know during COVID, we had to pivot a little bit because of the difficulties of the pandemic, but that I'm going to keep because I know you all like those. But it's the additional content that I'm hearing that you want to, listen to on the show. So I want to create a smorgasbord. I want to create a buffet. And to be honest with you, the ideas I got from you all, I could probably put out 20 episodes a week. Unfortunately, I'm not NPR or I'm not a big podcast studio, right? So I don't have a team that I can go and say, hey, let's go and create this content. It's just me. And recently I outsourced my editing. That's $100 a pop to edit a show. I also asked you if you wanted transcripts of each show, and most of you said not really, but you would like more detailed show notes, especially the resources and the links. And I have to share with you, I think all podcasters will agree with me, the job we hate doing is writing show notes. We love chatting to people, right? Some of us even love the editing process, but writing up show notes, that's tough going. So I've hired someone for that. So that, that's $250 a month for 4 episodes. So, I have to be very careful in terms of how much content I create because of the costs. And I had a wonderful email from John O'Sullivan down in Australia. And he was saying he listened to episode 100, but he doesn't feel that we should go to more episodes because he's struggling to consume them all. And I absolutely get that. However, what I really want Tourpreneur to be, so I've just done this morning. I'm trying to improve my copywriting. We actually have an episode coming up in a week or so on copywriting. And it's a skill that I really want to learn. And there was a guy I read about, and then I Googled him, and there was a podcast episode with him, and it was episode 24. I think it's the Copywriting Club. I'll find the links for you. And that I listened to it, and that interview took place in 2017. But what he was talking about is still relevant today. Now, I know that's not always the case with tourism and digital marketing. I get that. But my point is, I went back 3 years in their archive to get what I wanted. And that's what I want Tourpreneur to be. If you're working on SEO or, Facebook local marketing, and you can go back and listen to that episode with Kyle Estige from Checkfront, who wrote a local Facebook marketing guide, or whoever it may be, and you can go back and find that content. That's really what I want to create. So what I've done is I've put a survey together, and don't groan, I know that word survey, but I would really appreciate it. If you enjoy Tourpreneur and you want to help me really grow this thing, then go to tourpreneur.com/survey. It won't take you more than 5 minutes. It's not a long survey. But what I've done is I've asked you to grade our current formats of shows between 1 to 4. And then I've introduced some of the new episodes, the new features that many of you have mentioned to me that you would like to hear. Because if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to open things up, and don't think about the frequency. I'm not saying I'm going to do all of these in 1 week. So there's like 10 episodes a week. They may be monthly or every 2 weeks. It depends. The cool thing about podcasting, and in fact, what we do online, is I can see the numbers, right? So I'll know how popular these things are. But I'd love you to go in and just give me your opinion. You can do that at tourpreneur.com/survey. And like I say, this is not to replace the existing content. This is to add on. So for instance, as I go through this, how much would you enjoy a coaching/education session? So we have the Tuesday interview with the Tourpreneur. Thursday could be a session on SEO, on pricing, how to pick a res tech, how to build a Facebook page, how to get your buses insured, whatever, right? Some kind of coaching and education where we bring someone on, we have a chat. It's not going to be an hour long. It could be 20 minutes, just something, for us to work on, because I don't want to overwhelm you as well. How much would you enjoy an interview with an attraction? Because we focus here on tour operators. We've had a couple of attractions on. I know we do have quite a few of you that work closely with attractions, and you may be like, no, I want to get into that mindset. I want to know how I can set up a partnership with an attraction. So I want to know what their challenges are and how they think. How much would you enjoy an industry debate style show? So I bring on a couple of people. Someone maybe give you an example. There was a big discussion about Viator bringing in their $29 fee. Some people defended that. Some people were really angry about it. Is that a debate you want to hear? How much would you enjoy a monthly what's making the news show? So it's a bit like Meet the Press if you're in the US, or in the UK, in the late night news, they get the front pages of the following day and you have some people talking about that. Do we have something once a month where we have a rotating panel of experts that come on and they all bring on 3 stories or 3 bits of news each, and we talk through those? So something that's a little bit different. How much would you enjoy a monthly tech spotlight? I get a lot of people writing to me who want to come on the show. They have some kind of technology, and not just res systems. It could be a self-guided app. It could be waivers, whatever. Can I do that once a month? Would you like to hear a feature? And the way I always want to deliver these is not get someone on to do a sales pitch, because as you know, I can't stand that, and I can't stand the empty suit brigade. The way I see it, we bring some, let's say it's a self-guided app, right? We bring that person on, and I invite you, a tourpreneur, to come on and have that conversation. If self-guided is something that you want to bring in, well, you have that conversation along with myself on the show, so our listeners can really hear a genuine, authentic conversation. How much would you enjoy a monthly Tourpreneur startup series? Now, I know a lot of you have said to me, can you follow someone who's building their tour now right through? Now, of course, COVID has played havoc with this, right? Because I had a few people lined up who were interested. But of course, even myself, my brewery tour, that's probably going to be 2022 now, quite frankly. But is that a kind of episode you'd love to listen to, where you tune in once a month, the Tourpreneur is telling you what they've been doing to build their business? You then come on our Facebook group and give some advice based on your experience, mentorship, and we follow that person hopefully to the fruition of their tours launching. Or maybe at some point they're like, actually, I've done my research and this isn't going to work, whatever it may be. How would you enjoy a monthly Meet the ResTech episode? ResTech is something that gets talked about a great deal. And I do wonder sometimes what do we really know about these ResTech providers? Like I learned this week about EasyTix, and there's a huge, furor over this, that they're unable to pay out refunds because they take the whole of the money and they deal with the refunds. So I'm like, I didn't know that. And Fair Harbor apparently do the same thing, merchant of record. Checkfront don't. I asked Checkfront, and they said, we take our booking fee. The rest goes to the tour operator. I didn't know that. And I've been in this for a good few years. There's all these things. And again, what I'd love to do with Meet the ResTech is we bring a ResTech on. We bring on one of their customers, another tour operator, and then we bring on a tourpreneur who's in the market for a new booking system. And we record that conversation. So you see what I mean? This isn't sales pitches. This is not infomercials. This is really good value. I want to do the same with the OTAs. Stop groaning. Unfortunately, we were going to do this last week, but the person we interviewed sadly had a family bereavement, and bringing on an OTA with a mid-sized partner that's doing really good business with them and talking through, well, how are you, driving revenues through working with Viator? How are you doing it with Get Your Guide? How are you coping with these high commissions? How are you making a profit, etc.? So I also would like to ask you if there's anything we haven't covered. That's the only bit of long answer text, is you can write that in as well. And I really want you to score these ideas, because I don't want to create these if you don't find them valuable. And as I say, don't worry about the frequency for now or the amount of episodes. Just ask yourself, would this help my business? Would this feature help my business? And if you go to tourpreneur.com/survey, that's where you can help me out. So, any questions, you can always email me, shane@tourpreneur.com. But as I look to the next 100, I really want to create more content for you. I want to create compelling content. I really want to help you grow your businesses. And I really feel that by opening up the features of Tourpreneur, we can achieve that. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Tourpreneur podcast. Be sure to visit tourpreneur.com to join the conversation and access the show notes, including links to the resources mentioned on today's episode. This is Tourpreneur.